Hello and welcome to the ID Talk podcast. My name is Tony Bitsionis and I'm here with the incomparable Alex Prala. Alex, hello.
Hello, Tony.
Make you nervous there for a second because you didn't know what I was going to say. And today we are joined by our friend. We're happy to have Evie Kim Singh, editor at identityweek.net, back on the show. Evie, welcome back. It's really good to see you. Just to get us going, why don't you give those who don't know who you are just a rundown of yourself?
Yeah, hi Tony and Alex. It's great to be speaking with you again. You know this, but you're friends of the show, and we're going to be missing you this year actually because you're not able to attend, which is a shame. But
Mhm.
yes, we have the 2026 edition of Identity Week America coming up next week. So the team will be flying out, and it's a really exciting show that we've got planned. Every year I say this, the caliber of speakers is really, really high. We have some very exciting new speakers. We've got returning speakers from a lot of our partner agencies, really, big organizations, solution providers, regulators in the industry that really manage really our access to important personal data, national data, across lots of forums, domains like travel, if you're traveling internationally across the US, um, if you're trying to interact with federal services, um, all these identity credentials that you need to have and kind of important secure access um, barriers to make sure that data is protected and um, we're stopping bad actors getting involved there is what the show's really about. And we're
Mhm.
back again with that focus on all the technologies which enable that protection. So biometric technologies, the AI defenses, identity and access management, secure document features. So looking at how passports and ID documents are innovating and evolving with those state-of-the-art features, looking at digital wallets and mobile ID. So that's a massive topic in the US field, especially, looking at uh, mobile digital driver's licenses and digital wallets, the big providers, Google, Samsung,
Mhm.
Apple. Um, and how it works in the federal system, that's always a really important point of comparison with how things are done in Europe, and in different areas, how the transport ecosystem compares to some Asia, and I was doing an article about that today. So it's a broad show, but you're really looking at the digital advancements in the area. You're looking at fraud protections. It crosses into cybersecurity. Um, so, those permissions and in the last year or so, last year or two, you're looking at those real bad actors, the bots, humans, fraudsters. You're looking at a genetic AI, excuse me, which, actually might be a replacement for humans authenticating and accessing things legitimately.
Mhm.
So it's all those things combined, and you also have those, topics which are slightly more on the news agenda that we'll be discussing. But yeah, I'm really excited, and we got a really good delegation of attendees at the show, high quality people who have been in the industry for decades and years. And when they come together in one room, if you like, you've got a split between the people who want solutions to fix an identity related problem, and you've got those solution providers, which in our space, they have got loads of experience, and they tend to be really big players in the identity ecosystem. And then you've got things like startups and new companies that are coming through. So we explore all that innovation in one place.
Yeah, it's a tough job you have, Evie, because we ask you to talk about the show, and there actually is just so much happening at every event, and you're just like, well, there's this and this and this and this. Like you can't really cover everything.
Mhm.
But I can attest from attending the last few events, like it is true. It's a huge variety of stakeholders, I guess you'd say, in this like identity ecosystem. It covers a huge range of sectors, all the major sectors, like you said, EV, travel, and security broadly. And yeah, a really good mix of like experts who are just there to share their knowledge, and then like vendors who bring their own kind of expertise, lots of attendees. So I'm just attesting to everything you're saying, Evie. She's not a liar. Um,
Not this time at least, yeah.
and on top of that, I have always found that they're fun shows to attend. And they tend to be, is it in the same space as it was last year in Washington? Is it the same convention center? I forget the actual
The
specific name.
Walter E. Washington, or is that
Yeah,
what it's
so we're
called? Yeah.
inhabiting the same space, same conference venue that we always do. But for this year, we do have a different sort of venue for our drinks party, and that's going to be just outside, across the road at, you'll know what this is called. I always forget it.
Mhm.
Um,
The Yard Bird.
Yardbird. Um, And yeah, because I visit once a year, that's not stuck in my head yet. But
Huh.
it's it's a great opportunity to leave the venue and then do some more networking with a drink in your hand, more social networking, which is always a feature of our conferences. We've got it in Amsterdam. And until now, we've kind of stayed in the conference hall for the drinks party, but that'll be really exciting. And yeah, I mean, there's always opportunities. I think it's not hard to network at the show because they're long days, but they're fun.
Mhm.
They're
Mhm.
really rewarding. The amount of conversations you can have in a day is amazing. You get pulled from by different people from your session when you finish a presentation. Um, Walking the aisles, you'll see familiar faces, new people, but everyone is there for the right reasons. They've got
Mhm.
experience and long histories in the industry, and that's what our job is to do, is to cultivate that um, that room full of people that are really invested in the objectives of securing identity. So
Mhm.
yeah, just to kind of give you a flavor of the agenda this year, we've got a kind of a new format as well for sessions. We have lots of panels, presentations. Um, we've got some great reporters moderating. So we've got some keynotes on the first day, which are around America's identity workforce for national security. Um, we've got a keynote presentation from JP Morgan Chase, combating fraud. Um, we've got Oracle Park um, talking about their kind of 27-year quest for frictionless fan experience. So, we do have entertainment venues and people who are involved in kind of sport and entertainment to talk about how often that they are ensuring security in physical spaces, but also with the data, their customer data. So if you buy kind of tickets online, looking at the fan journey, um, sometimes biometrics need gates. We've got the TSA, which we always have at the show. It's the marking their 25th year, and they're launching a new Horizon 25 strategy. So we've got speakers from there talking about transportation security and the future of identity verification through e-gates. Um, and the private public partnerships that kind of run all the way through these kind of agendas for travel and immigration security, which is so kind of prevalent in the US um, narrative. So it's really, shaping up to be a great show. We've got seamless travel pilots, passenger pathways, and progress around interoperability and standards within travel. And we've got a whole wealth of government officials, and different people, different vendors, and financial services speakers. So it's shaping up to be a really, really interesting show.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And as you noted at the top, and we won't be able to make it this year, and that's something that's bummed us both out because we really do enjoy coming. Like you said, it's just such a great event for collaboration and for kind of meeting people and all the conversations that are happening. Our first event, Alex and I, that we went to together was Identity Week USA a few years ago, and it really like kind of knocked our socks off when we were there. Just didn't really know exactly what to expect. And exactly as you said, just so many great conversations. The people that we met that first year are actual still friends of ours, yourself included, and your team, because you guys do such excellent work. And I feel like I do need to say that every time I talk to you, because you and Rob will get mad at me if I don't. But we are especially disappointed to not be making it this year because of just the last year and how quickly everything moves in this industry and how many topics are just becoming more and more of a focus. And you mentioned agentic. Um, is there anything else that jumps out to you? I know that there's a I don't know if heavier is the right word, but there's a more dialed in focus on government this at this year's event. What would you say is kind of like the thing that you're most looking forward to for this year's edition in terms of specific focuses?
Yeah, I mean, you got that right. There is huge focus this year on autonomous, sorry, AI agents and
Mm.
kind of the authorization boundaries that they're crossing. Before I think we split things between, humans, bad actors, and sort of non-human identities, bots, working out who's behind um, uh, an authentication request. But that topic is all about kind of actually um, AI agents kind of maybe posing as humans in a really positive way to gain
Mhm.
accesses, and it's going to run through both shows and all the continents that we provide events in. Um, we always talk about mobile driver licenses and how that's kind of being adopted by each state in a federal system, looking at deep fakes, um, looking at digital wallets and actually how they serve all kind of industries, KYC processes, um, and digital travel credentials. Is that on the cards? We always talk about kind of that development, and will we eventually have a digital passport credential, which is that's what it's all about. But not everything happens in a year or in a few months,
Mhm.
which can we can easily kind of say that to do with um our gatherings of the industry, but actually things do take a long time. You kind of have to look at the next decade really, but there's people who are um pushing really amazing advancements, and that is um really, really important in those longer term ambitions. Um so yeah, it's just, we have people from the e-commerce space, law enforcement, banks. So I can, I'm just having a look at the agenda now, and there is quite a lot of sessions on AI agents. Um, you know, um, Creating organizational and individual identities in the ecosystem, reimagining the border. So I think, yeah, that's probably where my particular interest this year. I've been covering that an awful lot. Um, and case studies, I think um, as a journalist of some sorts, I'm looking at these case studies where it's being brought to life and it's being
Mhm.
practiced in pilots. And I must do a quick shout out to any reporters, any press who are interested in the show, because I work on that too. I work on creating our press list. you guys unfortunately can't make it this year, but um, we've got some really high end reporters from um, different publications, and they'll be coming down to the show because there's a genuine interest in that newsworthy content. And it's a short ride for them from the headquarters. We're in a massive, obviously, center for politics and talking about digital transformation. And so I'd say those sessions aren't going to be recorded, but please come down and watch it for yourself because we're talking about real projects which are happening right now, not just company pitches, not just vendor pitches, but actual advancements that are newsworthy. And I think that's the next step. Well, in the events business is going from talks to actual, wow, newsworthy content, actual pilots and demonstrations which are happening across the space.
Yeah. And there are always, I mean, if somebody has a major announcement to make in the months around this time, they're going to do it at Identity Week, in my experience. So it's another good reason to be there. I know we have less time to talk than we normally would want, but in the last few minutes, I have kind of a zooming out question for you, Evie. Discerning listeners might realize you're British. So I just want to know, you are attending in person Identity Week Europe and Identity Week USA. You've done this a few times. Do you have any like observations about the different vibes between the two events? And you can go broad or specific about like, wow, Americans really don't drink that much. Or you can just talk
Yeah.
about what the vibe is at the show. Uh, However you want to answer.
Yeah, I think obviously we also have our flagship in Amsterdam. That's a really great show. We have pink carpet. Everyone's, you know, again, up for having fun whilst they're networking, whilst they're meeting people. Um, and you can do both. You can do business and you can meet people that you've known in the industry for a long time and catch up. So the vibe is very, it's a massive scale event. It's very fun. Um, you go up to people very easily. We've got a lovely drinks party by the river, and um, there's so many long-standing people in that involved in the creation of that event, not just our team,
Mm.
but all the agencies, all the people who have, kind of worked at quite a lot of those companies and maybe a few of those companies. But at the same time, it's tight knit, but you've got the desire to elevate startups and new companies, and that's why we have our startup competition. Um, and you know, and so we're elevating that new talent. We talk about massive IT infrastructure systems like EES and ETIAS, looking at business wallets, digital wallets. So that has got a European focus, obviously. America's the same, we're hitting those big topics, as I said. And how do they do it in a federal system? What's those process? How is it slightly different, of course, with regulation and standards, but you've still got obviously a massive focus on security in America. And that's what's interesting is because, you know, I think that the desire to secure data and identities is the same in everywhere. And you've got a national security agenda, a mandate in the US, which I think is always an interesting layer to our conference and the topic in general, you know, um, managing those things. And so you can compare what's worked in different places and, how should we be implementing this? And massive tech providers which are American based, Google, Apple. So yeah, you've got massive players as well in the US. And it's always fascinating to be there. And that's why obviously we've got the two shows in those regions and territories. So Yeah, I think overall we've got two big shows. They're very focused though, and this completes 2026 years of run of events. But just last thing to add is obviously next year we are launching two more co-located events. So alongside those two shows, we will have the Tech and Gov events. So that's got a focus mainly on digital transformation within government in particular. So not so much looking at kind of the identity sphere, but all the ways that government are digitalizing, public infrastructure, um, to enable public life, really, um, and all those technologies involved. So it's it's separating that maybe public public arena a little bit, but they're co-located events. So whilst they're in the same venue, adjacent halls, they are separate events. So that's going to be happening at the dates next year, which I'll give you guys. And yeah, we're really excited to be expanding our portfolio. We're going global.
That's exciting.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that, and really hoping we actually will be able to be there in person next year to see it. But in the meantime, we will be keeping a close eye on this year's event from our Toronto headquarters for ID Tech here, and we do have eyes and ears on the ground via our network of associates. Sam Salento, shout out to you if you're listening. But yeah, we're really
Hey,
looking forward to it. It's always exciting, and a lot of interesting news always comes out of these events. So
Yeah,
looking
and
forward
keep
to it.
keep an eye on obviously ID Tech's brilliant platforms for news about the show. I just hope you're not having me on and you're not going to be there on the show floor, Alex, because um yeah, we're going to be missing you guys so much. So thanks for all your support as valued partners in the event this year.
Likewise, here, here.
yeah, likewise. Thanks, Evie.